Let us paint you a picture of modern American urban destruction. Step 1 is, you take a perfectly functional city with character, affordable housing, and a thriving local culture. Next, you add thousands of overpaid tech workers clutching their MacBooks and trust funds. Last step, watch as they vote for politicians who couldn't manage a lemonade stand, price out every teacher, artist, and firefighter, then act shocked when their artisanal coffee shop has homeless people outside. Congratulations! You've just witnessed the millennial gentrification playbook. They arrive seeking authenticity and character, then systematically destroy both while posting Instagram stories about supporting local businesses they're actively putting out of business. Therefore, in today's episode, we share 5 cities where rich millennials have done the most spectacular damage, transforming once great American urban centers into overpriced, crime-ridden hellscapes that even they're now fleeing. Number 5. Portland, Oregon. Portland used to be America's quirky cousin, the city where young people could afford to be weird, creative, and poor simultaneously. That was before the California tech refugees discovered they could sell their San Francisco studio apartments and buy entire Portland houses with cash left over. The invasion began in the early 2010s as millennials with 6-figure salaries descended like locusts, driving home values up 68.6% in a single decade. By 2013, the median sale price had already exceeded pre-crash levels as these well-heeled newcomers bid aggressively on properties, treating Portland real estate like a bargain basement sale. The Alberta Arts District and Central Eastside, once bustling with affordable studios where actual artists could create actual art, transformed into luxury condo developments faster than you could say artisanal kombucha. Gallery owners watched helplessly as rising rents made it impossible for emerging artists to establish themselves. As one veteran gallery owner observed, gentrification brought in people with money who either didn't buy art or couldn't find artists because they'd all been priced out to Gresham. And the city's famous DIY ethos died when the people who did it themselves could no longer afford to live there. Then came the complete breakdown of public order that makes Portland today resemble less of a city and more of an open-air mental asylum. The murder rate tells the story: 36 homicides in 2019, 95 in 2022. That's not a crime spike, that's a civilization collapse. Gun violence became so routine that Portlanders started timing their errands around shooting schedules. Indeed, the millennial voters who'd moved to Portland for its values elected leadership that valued ideology over basic competence. These politicians managed to lose track of the city's 5-year affordability initiatives, failing to monitor progress or even define what success looked like. The Creative Space Preservation Plan, designed to protect artists, delivered essentially nothing, as city bureaucracy actively worked against affordable arts housing while pretending to support it. Homelessness exploded into a humanitarian catastrophe that would embarrass a war-torn country. Massive encampments sprouted at Laurelhurst Park and along the Springwater Corridor, transforming public spaces into no-go zones of tents, needles, and human waste. Homeless deaths quadrupled despite massive public investment, exposing the complete failure of a city government more interested in virtue signaling than problem-solving. By this year, Portland's appeal in the national real estate market has crashed to 81st out of 81 cities, a spectacular fall for what was once one of the Pacific Northwest's hottest destinations. The city that once celebrated independent spirit and creative freedom had become a cautionary tale of what happens when wealthy idealists impose their politics on reality and discover too late that good intentions plus incompetent governance equals urban disaster. Number 4, Denver, Colorado. The next city on our list proves that millennials can destroy a city's soul faster than a Colorado avalanche, and with roughly the same amount of warning for the locals buried underneath. You see, between 2010 and 2020, 115,000 people invaded Denver, with the city experiencing a nearly 20% population surge, driven almost entirely by tech workers who thought mile high referred to their salaries rather than altitude. By 2024, millennials accounted for 35% of Colorado's population increase, transforming a laid-back western town into an overpriced playground for trust fund babies with hiking boots. The casualties of this invasion read like a cultural obituary, and between 2000 and 2013, over 135,000 Denver residents were priced out of their homes across 230 neighborhoods. Denver earned the dubious honor of being America's second most gentrified city, appearing in the top 7 for neighborhood gentrification every single decade since the 1970s. The consistency is almost admirable. Few cities can claim such sustained commitment to displacing their original residents. The Rhino Arts District became the perfect symbol of this transformation, marketed as preserving Denver's creative spirit, while actually serving as a bulldozer for the communities that created it. The millennial newcomers brought their politics with them, electing city leadership that pursued developer-driven gentrification while mouthing platitudes about affordability. Homestead exemptions and affordable housing mandates that might have helped long-time residents either arrived too late or were designed to fail from the start. The infrastructure groaned under the weight of all these new residents who championed sustainable urban living, while creating traffic nightmares that made their previous California commutes look pleasant. Denver became ground zero for millennial hypocrisy. They fled expensive cities only to make their new home equally unaffordable, celebrated diversity while creating ethnic cleansing through economics, and claimed to value authenticity while systematically destroying every authentic thing they touched. The cowboys must be laughing from their graves. Number 3, Seattle, Washington. Amazon's arrival in Seattle marked the beginning of the end for a city that once gave the world grunge music and genuine counterculture. 500,000 people flooded the metro area between 2010 and 2020. A 15% population surge driven by tech workers who confused stock options with civic virtue. These coding conquistadors transformed Seattle from a grungy, laid-back haven into an unaffordable pressure cooker, where the only thing higher than the Space Needle are the housing prices and crime rates. The housing mathematics exposed the catastrophe. King County added jobs at 30% growth, while housing stock limped along at 12%. Basic economics dictates what happened next. The average home price topped $1 million, up 23% in just 5 years. A one-bedroom apartment that a barista might have afforded in the Nirvana era now commands $2,975 monthly. Seattle gained 11.5% more tech workers during the pandemic, young professionals who work from home, while the service workers who make their lattes live in their cars. The homelessness crisis became Seattle's defining feature, with numbers surging 20% between 2007 and 2020. By 2024, over 16,000 people experienced homelessness in King County on any given night. Research consistently showed that Seattle's epidemic stemmed directly from housing costs. Cities with similar poverty and addiction rates but lower housing prices had 5 times fewer homeless people. The tech workers who created this crisis stepped over tent encampments on their way to complain about the city's image problem. And the crime statistics are even more shocking. Seattle set a new homicide record in 2023 with 70 deaths, surpassing the previous record from 1994 despite having 200,000 more residents. The murder rate jumped 50% from 2019, while police enforcement decreased by 60%. Property crime reached 5,007.6 incidents per 100,000 residents, among the highest in America. The millennial voters who made this possible elected leadership that created the King County Regional Homelessness Authority in 2022, pouring hundreds of millions into homeless services while the problem worsened exponentially. Spending doubled, homelessness skyrocketed, and the only measurable outcome was proof that throwing money at problems without competent management just creates expensive problems. The defund the police movement, championed by Seattle's young millennial voters, coincided perfectly with the crime explosion. The tech workers living in secure high-rises with private security voted to eliminate public safety for everyone else, then seemed genuinely puzzled when disorder followed. Seattle's authentic character, those quirky coffee shops, legendary music venues, and affordable neighborhoods that created its soul, systematically vanished. The artists and musicians who made Seattle culturally relevant were replaced by programmers who think culture means choosing between yoga studios. By 2025, domestic migration to Seattle has been falling as even millennials have begun avoiding the dystopia they'd created. The city that gave us Jimi Hendrix now gives us homeless encampments and hedge fund managers, proving that wealthy millennials can destroy a city's spirit faster than Kurt Cobain destroyed guitars. Number 2. Austin, Texas. Keep Austin Weird started as a rallying cry to support local businesses and preserve the city's DIY spirit. It ended as the most ironic slogan in America, mocking the very people it was meant to protect, as tech money transformed weird into unaffordable. Between 2020 and 2024, approximately 130,000 domestic migrants and 70,000 international arrivals descended on Austin like a biblical plague, except these locusts carried laptops and stock options. The destruction was swift and merciless. Home prices jumped 87% over 10 years, climbing from around $250,000 to well over $500,000. During peak pandemic years, rental prices increased 25.5% from 2019 to 2023, while home prices accelerated 55.6%. Properties sold for double their 18-month-old purchase prices as California refugees bid against each other using money that seemed fictional to actual Texans. The slogan coined in 2000 to preserve Austin's funky character became a cruel joke as the very people attracted by weirdness systematically eliminated it. Musicians who made 6th Street legendary couldn't afford to live within 50 miles of their venues. The decorated cars, self-modified clothes, community zine fests and parking lot metal shows that defined Austin's authenticity were replaced by Tesla showrooms and wellness centers. The tech workers claimed to value authenticity while building a sanitized corporate version of it. The homelessness explosion perfectly captured the new Austin's dysfunction. The 2021 count found 3,160 people experiencing homelessness, with 2,238 living unsheltered. As of this year, that number has surged to approximately 3,238, a 36% increase from just 2 years ago. The city distributed tents and camping supplies, creating massive tent cities throughout Austin, while tech workers debated homelessness solutions from their gated communities. City government proved spectacularly incompetent at managing any of this chaos. Multiple audits revealed Austin completely lost track of its 5-year affordability plan, using vague metrics without defined targets and submitting data years out of date. The Downtown Density Bonus Program, designed to create affordable housing, was officially declared broken and a complete failure as it funded vouchers instead of actually building homes. The millennials who'd moved to Austin elected a city council that approved a $5.9 billion budget loaded with tax and fee increases while delivering nothing. The home initiative, allowing multiple units on single-family lots, was forced through despite overwhelming public resistance about parking, flooding, and neighborhood preservation. Council members demonstrated complete disconnection from longtime residents' concerns, governing for their new tech worker constituents instead. By 2024, more people wanted to leave Austin than move there, as reality finally penetrated the millennial bubble. The weird had been thoroughly killed, and its murderers were still posting about breakfast tacos. Number 1. San Francisco, California. San Francisco represents the ground zero of millennial urban destruction, the patient zero from which the infection spread to Portland, Austin, and beyond. The tech boom of the 2010s transformed America's most beautiful city into an open-air mental hospital with a $10 million median home price. Between 2011 and 2017, San Francisco added 175,000 jobs, but built fewer than 20,000 housing units. The math doesn't require a Stanford degree. When demand outstrips supply by that magnitude, you get a city where earning $1,447 annually qualifies as struggling to afford a typical home. The humanitarian catastrophe that followed would shame any civilized society. San Francisco's homelessness rate reached 4.5 per thousand residents by 2019. A 10% increase since 2007. More than 10,000 homeless people wandered the streets on any given night, while nearly one-third of school children in East Palo Alto were estimated to be homeless. The city awash in tech billions couldn't house its own children. The Tenderloin and South of Market transformed into open-air drug markets that would shock residents of actual third-world countries. 806 people died from accidental overdoses in 1 year, 2 deaths daily while tech workers stepped around the bodies to reach their artisanal coffee shops. Nearly half of those cited for drug use weren't even San Francisco residents. Dealers and users flocked there knowing the city had effectively legalized street narcotics. Property crime exploded to genuinely spectacular levels. Between 2012 and 2013, property crime jumped 20%, with larceny and theft up 27%. San Francisco achieved the highest property crime rate per capita in the entire nation, with police solving a pathetic 4% of larceny thefts. Smash-and-grab car break-ins became so routine that restaurants reminded diners to bring their laptops inside rather than leave them in vehicles for the 30 seconds it took thieves to strike. The corruption that flourished under progressive leadership elected by wealthy millennials reads like a mafia indictment. The Department of Public Works scandal implicated 23 employees in bribery, fraud, and money laundering. Director Mohamed Nourou's arrest and conviction exposed a network of corruption so vast it required creating an Inspector General position. Mayor London Breed's Dreamkeeper initiative became a cash machine for connected non-profits, with the director living with someone whose organization received $7,500,000 in contracts she personally approved. Another Breed appointee stole $100,000 in taxpayer funds through fraudulent expense reports. The permit fraud scandal required 277 properties to undergo expensive repairs after corrupt inspectors approved illegal construction. As recently as March of 2025, city inspectors were still being convicted. The tech boom created a city where the top 5% earned median incomes of $350,000, while 23% lived in poverty. The young tech workers who moved to San Francisco for its diversity and creativity systematically destroyed both through economic displacement and political incompetence. They built a sterile dystopia where their wealth couldn't buy them safety, cleanliness, or competent governance. San Francisco proved that millennials with money but no wisdom could take a world-class city and transform it into an unlivable hellscape while congratulating themselves for their progressivism. And with that all said, we'd like to see you in the comments. Do you agree with this list, or did we miss any or get something wrong? We look forward to hearing your thoughts below, and thanks for joining us for another episode.